Hey everybody, I'm back with Kenobi episode 5 review. And okay, before I get started, I have seen like people kind of argue with each other about this show. There's people who just don't really like it, people who really love it, and like people who are in the middle of, they're kind of like they like certain things and they don't like certain things. And that's all fine and valid, and I think people are entitled to express themselves, whether it's one part of this, spectrum versus the other. I think it's important because maybe somebody who works for Lucasfilm is in charge of checking like social media, like things like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and maybe even seeing like on YouTube and checking out YouTube videos for reviews, maybe just to see what people think about it. I know that there's websites, things like Rotten Tomatoes is something that comes to mind. I don't know if they do TV shows, but there's websites where you can leave like a review that factor into the overall score, I guess, of a product, whether it's a film or a TV show, that I guess indicates if people like it or not. I know like those to me I think aren't valid factors, just because I personally only leave reviews here on YouTube, and I might like do something on Instagram or Facebook here and there, but I don't go to like Rotten Tomatoes to leave my opinions there. So like that doesn't I don't think a lot of people do that. So I think that factors into the scores. Like for me, if I was to be on there, I would very much disagree with the ratings for a lot of films, but that's just my personal preference, right? So I think everyone's entitled to an opinion. If you don't like hearing maybe the more negativity or the positivity about the show, then I think like maybe just quickly check and say, okay, well, this person doesn't seem to like it. I'm not gonna watch these particular videos. Maybe like videos that they do something else type of thing, or whatever it is, right? You can always avoid it for the time being, which is nice, right? There's nobody making you like reply back to people, right? I think that's been the issue, is like someone that really likes Kenobi wants to talk to someone who hates Kenobi, and so this is causing this fighting. And I think if we kind of just let each other be for the most part, then I think like a lot of that fighting wouldn't be an issue. And I hate to say this, I think a lot of people talk about the prequels, but I'm gonna special editions that came out in 1997. I'm dating myself again, right? So I probably was either 6 or 7, depending on the time of year that those were released. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. In like the theaters or on like VHS. That's how long ago it was. VHS, right? That was also pretty like divisive with the fandom. Like people really hated those. People really loved those. I grew up watching that version a lot, particularly because, excuse me, it was a newer, not like I'm not talking about like the film itself. I'm talking about like the actual VHS, because the ones we had originally were a little bit older, and so they're kind of more worn, right? And so it made sense to watch these newer ones because I could watch them more times, and that's kind of how, at least I did it when I was little. Excuse me. I'm very tired for some reason, which is weird because I definitely got 7 hours of sleep, at least, maybe 6. So I don't know why I'm so tired. Maybe because I'm not used to having that much sleep, because I always get like 3 hours on a daily basis almost. Yes, I know I need more sleep. I want more sleep so bad, but I have sleep problems. Yeah, I gotta get that fixed. But anywho's, I think that's like the first time the fandom was really divided when it came to Star Wars. Of course, the prequels and the sequels and the Clone Wars and all the things Disney has done with, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, with shows or books and video games. Like even the expanded universe, I think, was kind of divided the fandom a little bit. So I think the only thing that's never divided the Star Wars fandom was the original trilogy. So I feel like this is just kind of a part of Star Wars, which is unfortunate. I wish we could get along and respect each other's opinions. I just don't see that happening, unfortunately, and I see like this staying. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see lots of Star Wars fans changing, you know? So, yeah. That being said, let's talk about Kenobi. And move on to episode 5. Was awesome. Like, the very first scene, we're back on Coruscant. I do think they changed the design slightly of the Jedi Temple. It doesn't look quite the same as it did in the prequels. Maybe I don't know, maybe because the technology is different now when they do that, when they do that planet with Coruscant. Maybe that's why? I'm not sure, like, it does look slightly different, the setting. And I'm not complaining about that, I've just noticed that. I will say it does look less like Anakin and Obi-Wan are on a painting than it did in the prequels. It looks a bit more real. And that's not dogging the prequels, because obviously George Lucas was trying to really push technology, and for that time that was really advanced, right? But what was really cool was it was the flashback. We finally got the flashback. I was expecting Clone Wars. Like, that, I think that was what we were all expecting, was the Clone Wars, because I feel like the Clone Wars was the most positively received version of Anakin. And that's why I thought that's what they would do, because I feel like Disney doesn't want to really acknowledge the prequels unless they absolutely have to. And so to see a pre-episode 2, because obviously Anakin has his both arms still, that was amazing. Like, yay. And I love the way they incorporated this. Clearly it's a practice duel, right? They're practicing together. Obi-Wan is trying to teach Anakin a lesson, but Anakin is not learning the lesson, right? Unfortunately, I don't think he ever truly does in certain ways. But that was awesome. I like the fact that they didn't de-age the actors, just because they're not that old. This is the problem with Hollywood, I feel like, is with age. Like, what, Ewan and Hayden are only 17 years older, 20 years older than they were in Attack of the Clones. Like, you do notice it a bit more with Hayden in terms of his body size. He's definitely bigger. I think that's obviously because he bulked up to put on the Vader suit. Now, you notice that. Like, I noticed, I was like, whoa, he's very muscly now. Which is kind of, that to me was more of a, holy cow, like, maybe they could have, like, sized him down somehow with CGI. But other than that, like, it was really great. And that to me wasn't like, oh, I noticed that. I was like, wow, he's very bulky now. Which is obviously a good thing, because putting that Vader suit on, he kind of had to be. And I know he bulked up in Revenge of the Sith as well. Like, it made sense that he was going to look visually different between the two films. So you can tell, like, that to me was the bigger difference, not necessarily the face. It was like his body size. That was like whoa, he's bigger now. Because he wasn't that big in Attack. He was tall, but not like muscly big. And now he's tall and muscly big. If that makes any sense. Like, he's got the muscles. Which, I like it. But I love this scene. I love that they got their old costumes and the hairstyles. You know, I know, like, people kind of mock the prequel hairstyles, right? Obi-Wan sporting his Jedi mullet, as Ewan McGregor says. I like it. I think his hair was lighter, though, wasn't it, in Attack of the Clones? I think it was a different shade of color, which is interesting. I do notice that, but maybe it's the lighting in the show versus the prequels. I'm not sure. But, like, to me, that's not, like, oh my god, it's horrible type of thing. I know, it's a note. Oh, hey, maybe they didn't get the right shade for, I'm assuming he's wearing a wig. Because I think that would make the most sense. Especially since it's for that one scene, as far as I know. I don't know what's happening in the last episode. But if he's only wearing the Jedi mullet hairstyle for one scene, then yes, Ewan McGregor shouldn't have to grow out his hair again, unlike he did. Maybe that's why the hair color was different, because it's not his actual hair. Whereas in Attack of the Clones, it was his actual hair. Alright, that makes sense. But I love this scene, and I love how Deborah Chow used the scene to, like, parallel what's going on in the present timeline. And I like how it starts off Vader's thinking about it, and by the, like, middle section of the episode, it feels like Obi-Wan's thinking about this fight, and then at the end it's back to Vader thinking about this fight. I'm not sure why it's this particular fight. Obviously it's because they chose to put a flashback in that wasn't a scene that's already in the prequel films, right? So that makes sense that it's an entirely new piece of information, or new scene, I should say, sorry. So, yeah. But I love that scene. And then, now obviously this stuff, like, on Jabin was fun and cool. I really like Tala and her conversation with Obi-Wan in, like, the little room that they're in. My only complaint is Obi-Wan with the little communicator that he has to communicate with Bail Organa. Like, I'm surprised he's carrying that. I mean, I guess I understand because he wants to contact him about Leia, but I don't know. I feel like that'd be just a bad idea, and I don't know why they chose to have him carry that, unless something's going to happen in the last episode that was rumored to be happening, right? I don't know. But I really like the conversations that he had with Tala. I like how he's starting to get more hopeful. The one thing I wish, we haven't seen this in the show yet, is that he wants to try and maybe turn Anakin back or save Anakin. Because there is a line in Return of the Jedi, in particular, where, you know, Luke is trying to turn his father back, and Vader says, Obi-Wan thought as you did, right? But when you watch Obi-Wan in the original trilogy, you don't really get that sense that he wants to save Vader. In fact, he doesn't want Luke to try and save Vader. He thinks Vader is unsavable. So there had to have been some instance made in between 3 and 4 where Obi-Wan thought he could save Vader. Maybe there was, like, a glimmer of hope in Obi-Wan that he could save Vader and turn him back into Anakin. And then that just never happened because Vader was like, no. Because obviously Obi-Wan's just not the right person to do it. It had to be Luke. Just given all the information we know from the prequels, from the Clone Wars, from the original trilogy, it had to be Luke. It really did. Like, Luke was the one that had to save his father, redeem his father. It wasn't going to be Padme. It wasn't going to be Obi-Wan or anyone else. It had to be Luke. So, But I would have liked to have seen that. Now, I guess there's one more episode, but it does feel like it's coming, like, way too late in the show, right? So, that's just one thing I would wish we could see. Unless the rumors are true and they're doing a season 2. But that tells me that they were always planning a season 2. Because, you know what I mean? And what are we going to do for season 2? I guess what we could do for season 2 is you can adapt the Kenobi novel from Legends, have it take place mostly on Tatooine, and you're dealing with, in that particular book, most of it's with the Tusken Raiders and, like, the Tatooine settlers, I guess is the best term to use, because I would say natives, but technically the Tuskens are the natives, so. But, you know, like, the human characters, the non-Tusken characters, pretty much, because there's more than human characters, but, like, the moisture farmers and things like that. Like, it's them versus the Tusken Raiders, and that could be, like, the setup. Like, maybe Luke got caught in that, and you can use Luke more as a focal point than Leia. Like, Leia is in this season, right? Leia is kind of more of a focus for Kenobi. Luke could be a focus in season 2, and that could be something they do. I know a lot of people didn't, like, stay stuck on Tatooine and Boba Fett. That's understandable, because I think Boba Fett has more freedom to be moving around than Kenobi does, right? So, that's just a thing that they could do for season 2. Maybe then they can somehow, through the Force, connect Anakin and Obi-Wan together, type of thing. And maybe he could try, and maybe he senses or he hears that Anakin did something, or Vader did something, that makes him lose hope that Anakin can never be redeemed. That's just me. But I do like the fact that Obi-Wan is getting more hopeful in the show. Like, he was very, like, he's lost a lot of hope, and it makes sense for him because, unlike Luke, for example, in The Last Jedi, he has nobody. If Anakin, in his mind, is gone, is dead, Qui-Gon's dead, Satine's dead, he can't communicate with Bail Organa, or else Palpatine will find out somehow, you know, Padme's dead. All his friends in the entire Jedi Order, he thinks are either dead or hiding out somewhere in the galaxy, and he can't communicate with them, or else they'll be discovered, right? And so he's in a more darker place than Luke is, whereas Luke, he has his sister Leia, he has Han, he has Lando, he has Chewbacca even, like, he has this support system, so it doesn't make sense for him to just run off and be this very depressing, hopeless character, because that's not who he is. Whereas it makes sense for Obi-Wan, because he's gone through something like the Clone Wars, and like I said, he's lost all these people, and he's realized that the entire time that he has been around, he's been manipulated by some external force, mainly Palpatine, if you think about it. Like, from episode 1 to then, his life has been a lie in a lot of ways. So it's very different, and his attitude should be, he's depressed, he doesn't know how to deal with the trauma that he's been through, he has no support, he can't go talk to Owen, right? Like, the idea is he's supposed to watch Luke, but he can't be close by, or else people would figure it out, right? He can't endanger the boy. Like, even though you can tell he does care for Luke. Like, he buys the toy, right? And he wants to give that, but he leaves it there so that it's kind of like Santa dropping off a gift in a way, you know? But anyways, I like the fact that Obi-Wan is getting more hopeful. I love his talks with Tala. I love his talks to the entire group of people. Those are all fantastic. And I want to say something. I actually thought Reva was really good in this episode, character-wise. I guess they changed the writing team for a little bit in this episode. Like, someone else was writing the episode. Maybe that's why it's so different overall. But yeah, I really liked Reva in this episode. a lot of people had guessed that she was going to be one of the children that survived Order 66. I kind of thought she wasn't, just because I felt like that might have been too obvious. But also, what else? What else? Like, I guess with that, it would make some of the other leaks that had happened true as well. And I was like, oh, but I don't want those leaks to be true. Like, in particular, just because they just don't make any sense. Anyways, but I do like how it was acted between the two characters. You know, him realizing that the reason why she knows Vader and Anakin are the same person is because she was there during Order 66, and again we saw the flashback, which was so unsettling. It really was, given there's a warning on this episode in case you haven't watched it yet. Oh shoot, if you haven't watched it, this is all spoilered. Oh, spoiled. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, sorry. Really, sorry. I should have put a spoiler warning. I'll do that in the description. How about that? Oh no. I can't believe I did that. I'm sorry. Anywho's, but it was really unsettling because with everything going on right now in particularly the United States, with shootings, right? Children in real life have been killed. And I can understand why Disney put the warning label, excuse me. I appreciate that because I think if someone's watching this and it could upset them. It upset me, and I'm not even someone who has been a victim of a shooting or even know someone who's been involved in a shooting. I work in education, like you know, and it is a scary thought that you have to come up with this plan to save your life when we shouldn't have to, right? But it was very unsettling to watch the hero character, right? Because he looks like it's Anakin. You know, it's not Vader with the black mask, it's Anakin. And it was so unsettling to watch this character that for so many episodes of the Clone Wars and part of Revenge of the Sith and parts of Attack of the Clones was this hero. He was a romantic character. Like, look how excited he was to be a father himself, to have children himself, right? He said it was the happiest day of his life, and he's murdering children. It made me very uncomfortable, and I understand now why George Lucas never really showed Anakin doing that in episode 3. Like, he chose to shoot it in a particular way, and I am so shocked that Disney actually went there. Like, I really am shocked. I am so shocked that they showed this. Obviously this was filmed before a lot of these shootings had happened, so the warning must have been something that added like very last minute, within the couple of days that they were going to air the episode. But that, yeah, it was very unsettling, that scene, and shocking even to this day. Like, it was shocking in Revenge of the Sith when he goes into the council room and the little boy comes up, Master Skywalker, there's too many of them, what are we going to do? They think he's there to save them, like Reva said. We thought he was here to save us, and it turns out he was their doom. That was okay, I need to move on. Okay. But I like the stuff with Obi-Wan and Reva overall. I thought that was really nice. And I like how he's trying to get her to side with him and to take on Vader. I think that would make sense. I don't think she's necessarily going to be good, because I think she's done things in the name of her revenge. And it's very much revenge. It is not her trying to do the good thing and get rid of this evil person. It's her, I want revenge for what you did to me type of thing. And it's still that way. it still reads that way in the entire episode. Like, it's not her going back to the light. She's still on the dark side. She wants revenge. She's angry. She has hate for Vader, for Obi-Wan even still. Like, yeah, she's siding with Obi-Wan because he's, you know, to the extent, like, she doesn't hate him as much as she does Vader. You know what I mean? So there's that. Come on. I am going to need some water by the end of this. I thought it was good. I liked the fight scene between them too. Between Vader and Reva, I thought that was really nicely choreographed. And I like how he really didn't use his lightsaber. Like, he's just like, this girl thinks she can beat me. You know? Like, seriously, like, you thought you could take Vader on? I mean, Obi-Wan, you should have, I don't know. Maybe if he'd stayed, maybe they could have taken him on. But I still don't think that's the case. No, I don't think so. No, yeah. I don't think even if Obi-Wan was there, I think Vader would have still won. Because I don't think Obi-Wan is as skilled yet. So I'm wondering if we're having a time jump potentially in the last episode. I don't know. We'll see. But I liked the choreography. I thought it was nice. And what I liked overall is the use of the flashback in between, you know, like I said, in the beginning, you know, you see like Vader starting to get the upper hand, and then there's a nice flashback to him in the past, like beating Obi-Wan in a sense, right? He thinks he's beaten Obi-Wan, and that's where Obi-Wan, you know, says your need for victory blinds you, right? I'm saying these lines wrong, I think. Sorry, I did watch this episode 3 times. I just didn't write it down. I think when I do, like I said, I want to do a review where I watch all 6 episodes and kind of really sit down and think about it, like, and take notes and stuff. That's when it'll be better. I promise. I promise. But yeah, I really like that. And then it goes to Kenobi, who gives, oh shoot, what's his name? Haja? Is that his name? The lightsaber and everything, because he's going to defeat Vader by not fighting with a weapon, but by using, obviously, his smarts, which is he talks Reva into it by telling her, don't let him do to these children what he did to you, right? Don't let him do it again. Which I think was what really got through to her. I think it was that. I really do. That made her decide to actually side with Kenobi in that instance. And then the flashback shows Obi-Wan defeating Anakin, excuse me. And then in the past, Obi-Wan gets away, right? He's effectively tricked Vader into thinking he's won, but he's got away without having to fight Vader. And I love how the flashback worked with the episode in the present timeline. I thought that was actually really good and really creative, and how she particularly cut the scenes. I don't know or who edited, the editor. I don't think it was Deborah Child, but Deborah Child probably told the editor to edit the scenes that way. I thought it was really fun and creative, and I really like it, and it really worked very well with the characters of Vader and Kenobi, and even to some extent Reva, which was shocking. And then, of course, like I said, I like the choreography, and I like that she does get beaten by Vader, and he stabs her. And I think this is how I read this scene. I think a lot of people think that she was stabbed as a child. I'm reading it as she's flashing back in her mind while she's being stabbed as an adult to the time she was a child. And she was afraid of this man. Like, for her, she doesn't see the mask. She's seeing Anakin and what he used to look like. And that's what I think is happening. I don't think she was stabbed as a child. I think it's just her, like, mentally becoming a child again. Does that make sense? Like, the adult is mentally becoming a child again. Because I mean, that wouldn't make sense for her to be able to survive as a child unless someone immediately got her medical attention. But she indicated that she was hiding with the bodies for a long time, I would guess. I mean, did she say a long time? I don't know how much time she said she had to hide with the bodies, but the fact that she's hiding with the bodies, it to me shows that she wasn't stabbed. I could be wrong. I don't know. It's not super clear. That's the one thing I think is not very clear. I think they should have made that clearer, that either she was or wasn't stabbed as a child and somehow she survived. That doesn't make sense. It's confusing. It's like that what is it, the thing with the math and everything. I'm like, ugh. But yeah, I'm confused as to how she's going to survive this stab. Does it make any sense? Because there's nobody there to give her medical attention. Because they took supplies with them. And I know for a fact, right, the guy told everybody, take what you need, leave what you don't. Why would you leave medical supplies? I wouldn't. That's for sure. I'd bring the medical supplies with us and like ration bars or things like that. But that's just me. But I mean, there's no way she's going to get medical attention to heal her wound. And also, like, how's she getting off the planet? The ship, Vader destroyed the ship. I'm assuming that there's maybe no civilization. Blah, 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 blah. There's no civilization on this planet, potentially, and that's why it's used as a hideout. Because that would make sense, especially if they're going to be there for a specific amount of time. It's kind of like the rebels with Hoth and Yavin for, they're not inhabited worlds, per se, like, or at least with advanced civilizations. You had, like, Wampas and things, not Hoth, but they also do that in the Rebels series. Like, they hide out in places where there aren't a lot of people because, sometimes someone might be like, oh, if I turn these people in, I can get money or something like that, right? So I'm assuming that's the same for this band of people trying to help Jedi escape. Or Force sensitives. Alright. I think that's it for the most part, other than one little thing. She discovers Luke, I guess, like, in a sense, because she finds that little track, the communicator. This is why Obi-Wan probably shouldn't have brought it with him. It was, like, kind of a stupid plot point. No offense. Like, if you don't want Vader to find out about his children, I would not bring the communicator where Bail Organa can leave you messages. Now, obviously, he probably thought it, so he brought it so he can contact Bail Organa. But I kind of wish there was a better way to contact Bail Organa without taking a device that would lead them back to Tatooine. You know what I mean? Like, he should... Also, well, I guess it was Bail Organa's fault. Why would you leave a freaking message, Bail Organa? God. Obi-Wan's on the run. Clearly. Like, I understand he's worried for Leia. I get that. He's a dad. It's his daughter. And he doesn't want her birth father to find him. to find her, excuse me. But still. That seems very idiotic. They're supposed to be smart people. Like, that's a dumb thing to do. Anyways, and the shot ends with Luke on Tatooine, which I thought was a really cool shot. Don't get me wrong. Like, shot-wise, it was really nice. But now Luke is in danger, I guess. Right? Hiya, Obi-Wan. You did it, Obi-Wan and Bail Organa, actually. You guys were successful for 10 years, and then you screwed up. Right? I don't know. I guess we have to see how they wrap it up in this next episode. Who knows? Who knows? And also, I'm hoping it's not 30 minutes long. Please. There's a lot to cover. I'm just saying. Like, there's a rumor going around that's going to be an hour and 30 minutes. I wish. I really wish. But I think that's, like, the combination of all the episodes together for like the cinematic release they're gonna do in the theater. I mean, I guess they just want money at this point. It'd be cool to see Kenobi on the big screen again, though. No lie, I'm falling for it. I'm falling for the money grab, just because I want to see Hayden and Ewan on the big screen again together in Star Wars. You know, like that fight between them in Attack of the Clones would be awesome on the big screen. To say, in the flashback from Attack of the Clones, excuse me. But overall, I'm still enjoying the show. I still really like it. I think there's just a few things that are sort of nitpicky, maybe, in a sense, but also things that I think are going to look different just because of the technology. Like, for me, Coruscant looks different just because I think of the technology and the advancements in technology since the prequels. But also, I think the biggest issue is the ending with the communicator that Obi-Wan had. I think that's the biggest issue that they have to fix. Sorry, my phone was telling me I'm at 20%. Sorry, I gotta stop soon. So that's the biggest issue. They gotta find a way. I don't know. I don't think it's realistic for her to survive. Because if that's the case, then why didn't Qui-Gon survive? Or Satine? Both got stabbed in the stomach. Just saying. And their deaths were pretty fast. Just throwing it out there. Like Satine's she was able to tell everyone she had always loved him. And Qui-Gon held out long enough to tell him, promise me that you'll train the boy. Right? Because he is the chosen one. But still, like, how... Reva shouldn't be able to. I understand the Grand Inquisitor, because that species apparently has 2 stomachs, so that makes sense. So, like, he still had, like, something functioning for him in his system. But also, like, there is the potential that maybe they're trying to dupe Reva and all that stuff. Who knows? Whatever. I'm moving on. I'll see you in episode 6 review, guys. See you next time. Bye.